afternoon, students. Welcome to our Read Aloud. Before we enjoy our Read Aloud today, I'm going to talk to you and tell you a story to help you understand something from history. So, a story from his story, right? So, on Monday, we had a holiday. It was called Columbus Day. It's called Columbus Day, and it's about an explorer named Columbus. So, I thought before we talk about Columbus and we read about him, it would be important to understand what's an explorer, who was Columbus, why was he doing what he was doing. So to start off, I want to teach you a few things. Number one, this is a map of the whole wide world. A map is a flat way of showing the world. And a globe is a sphere, right? A globe is a round or spherical way of showing the world. So we have globe and a map. And this is a map that shows the world. As I start explaining about the story or history of Columbus and exploring, it's helpful to understand some words, which I'll be saying when I show some stuff to you. So a continent is a big area or expanse. That means like a connected area or expanse of land on the earth. Ocean is a big area or expanse of water on the earth. Europe is a continent across the Atlantic Ocean from our country. Asia is a continent where India and China are located. And an explorer is someone who travels to a place that is new to them. Another good thing to understand about the world is that the big areas of land that are connected are called continents. So we live on the continent of North America. There's also South America. Here's the continent of Europe across the Atlantic Ocean from us, the continent of Asia, Africa, Australia, and Antarctica you can't see down here. So the big areas of land, expanses of land, are called continents. The big areas or expanses, that means connected parts of water, are called the oceans. Okay? So my story is that long ago, maybe about 600 years ago, on this continent of Europe, the kings and queens used to fight with each other a lot. They were always trying to show off to each other. They always wanted more and more stuff. And they had discovered that on this continent, the continent of Asia, on the faraway continent of Asia, there were these empires, India and China. And in those places, India and China, there were some special things that they did not have in Europe. There were special things, and I like to call them, I wish I had a color printer, spices, sparkles, and silks. So spices are ground up parts of a plant that make food taste quite delicious. Sparkles, what I mean, are like jewels that come out of the ground, and then kings and queens used them to make their sparkly crowns and scepters and jewelry. And then silks is a special kind of shiny cloth that's really beautiful. And the kings and queens liked having silks to make beautiful robes. So they liked having spices that were a lot from India, and sparkles from India and other parts of Asia, and silks from China. So long ago, travelers, traders, used to travel all the way from Europe over to Asia, and that was a really long, hard trip. This is before planes and trains and automobiles and cars, so they had to walk, they had to go in ships. There was the area that was land. Sometimes they walked on it, sometimes they rode on horses or camels or different things, but it was really tough. And in fact, it took years to get from Europe here all the way over to here to buy those spices, sparkles, and silks for those kings and queens. So some people were trying to think, what's a faster way to get to Asia so we can get to those things quicker and sooner and make more money. They are always interested in things that are valuable. So Columbus and some other people had the idea that instead of traveling east, instead of going from Europe and going down around Africa by ship or across this ocean, the Mediterranean, by ship and then walking and going on horses and camels, that if they traveled the other way, because they knew that the world was round, they thought, what if we travel west? If we travel west, we should be able to get to Asia more easily or quickly. So let me try to show you that here on the globe. So here's Europe. Their idea was, instead of going this way, which takes so long, we're going to go west. But what they didn't realize, of course, they didn't realize that the continent where we are, North America, that the Americas, they're called the Americas now, they were not called that then, were right blocking them from that. But still, that's what Columbus wanted to try to do. And it took him many years to convince kings and queens to give him money to get ships and to pay for the men to go and try this exploration. And finally, he convinced the king and queen of Spain, Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand, to give him money. And when he set sail, he bumped into the Bahamas. He bumped into these islands called the Bahamas that are off the coast of our country now. And he met some Native Americans here, because that's an important thing to keep in mind. When you think of explorers, they're going to an area that is new to them. But where Columbus landed, of course, and all in the Americas was filled with Native Americans, the people who were already here. And while we used to celebrate Columbus for being a tough explorer and for having kind of amazing ideas and being persistent and trying to do his exploring and get to where he thought he was trying to go. Remember, he was trying to get to Asia. We found out that actually once he got to the Americas, he was really very unkind. He was really mean and tough on the Native Americans, because all he wanted to do was find lots of spices, sparkles, and silks. Yeah? So I'm going to read to you an interesting poem that is a really old poem about Columbus and his trip. And I'm reading it to you because I think it's important for you to learn about things, even when we look back on that history and we start to think, things have changed and we're not so sure that this was a good idea, what happened before. But let's go ahead and enjoy this poem and see what we can learn. So it's called In 1492 by Jean Marzollo. And it's illustrated by Steve Bjorkman, and this is about 30 years old. In 1492. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. He was a very good sailor. He had 3 ships and left from Spain. He sailed through sunshine, wind, and rain. And we usually learn the names of those 3 ships, the Niña, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. He sailed by night, he sailed by day. He used the stars to find his way. A compass also helped him know how to find the way to go. A compass is a tool that tells you where you're going, right? 90 sailors were on board. Some men worked while others snored. So on a ship, people take turns while some people are working, some people rest, and then they switch. Then the workers went to sleep, and others watched the ocean deep. Day after day, they looked for land. They dreamed of trees and rocks and sand. And there's the teeny tiny ships in the big giant ocean. October 12th, their dream came true. You never saw a happier crew. So when they finally spot land, they're very happy. Because they were getting worried, when they kept sailing and sailing and sailing, they thought, maybe Columbus is wrong and we're not going to find land. We won't be safe. Indians, Indians, Columbus cried. His heart was filled with joyful pride. So when he saw the natives, he thought he had landed in India, so he called them Indians. But India, the land, was not. It was the Bahamas, and it was hot. The Arawak natives were very nice. They gave the sailors food and spice. So here it's saying that the Native Americans welcomed them and were nice to them. Columbus sailed on to find some gold to bring back home as he'd been told. So that's reminding us that when these explorers are coming, they're coming to get gold, to get valuable things to bring back for the kings and queens. He made the trip again and again, trading for gold to bring to Spain. Oh, they're trying to make again and Spain rhyme. Again and again, trading for gold to bring to Spain. The first American, no, not quite, but Columbus was brave and he was bright. So it's saying that Columbus was brave and he was smart, which is probably true. We cheer for him and say hooray, especially on Columbus Day. And actually, many people nowadays do not cheer for him and they do not say hooray. Because as I explained to you, the most important thing to Columbus was getting valuables. And he was very unkind to the Native Americans once he got here. And that's why some people say that instead of calling it Columbus Day, we should call it Indigenous Peoples Day. Indigenous means the people who were here before, who were here all along, the Native Americans, because Columbus's arrival and the things that happened after were really tough on the Native Americans. And we'll learn a little bit more about that as we go on through history. Anyway, but I still think it's always interesting to learn this and learn a few facts about the explorer Columbus. I hope you have a nice afternoon. Be sure to wash your hands, cover your coughs and sneezes, do some reading, do some writing, help your family around the house, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.